Let go.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing it again. I'm starting a new series. I feel like I keep doing that. I keep saying I'm starting a new series. I just like to do stuff. I'm back in my reading era and I've been reading a lot, and so I wanted to compartmentalize all of the books I've read each month into like a fun little nail art thing, combine the best of both worlds. So today I will be painting a collage of all the books I read in March, which were 4. Can you guess which 4 they were? I'll give you 3 seconds if you haven't seen them in the thumbnail already. And 3, 2, 1, let's get into it. So the first book I want to talk about is called Act Your Age, Eve Brown, which is actually part of a trilogy that I did not read. I only read the 3rd book, and it was great. I don't think you need to read all the rest of them. But it follows Eve Brown, who is a big, brightly dressed, millennial, seemingly confident black woman with long to her waist purple braids. And she grew up in luxury, spoiled, British royalty. No, she's not royalty, but she is rich, and she is British, yeah. She's a British rom-com, yeah. Anyway, she comes from very successful parents and grandparents, and she's the youngest of 2 super-duper capable sisters. Eve, on the other hand, has lost more jobs than anyone has ever obtained in their lifetime, I fear. And so her parents are like, Evie girl, we're gonna cut you off of the trust fund if you can't get your act together. She leaves because not only were they a little mean, in my opinion, but also she knows that there's an underlying reason why she can't quite commit herself to things. But she'll have to discover that throughout the book. As she drives off in her bright orange car, she cries into the next town and into a grown man. Yes, she runs over a man. But this is not just any man. She runs over Mr. Jacob. The Mr. Jacob, I forgot his last name, in the rain. And he is not just super cold and mean and rigid. He is also tall, a little poor, and blonde with glasses. And juxtaposing his super frosty demeanor, he owns a comfy, cozy bed and breakfast hotel. So she's like, oh my gosh, you're hiring a chef for your bed and breakfast. I could work for you, even though I don't want to, even though it seems like we won't get along. And he's like, haha, no, absolutely not. First of all, you ran me over. You came to this interview wearing a crop top and jeans. You don't have a resume. You're kind of a flop. There's no way I would hire you. You don't seem like my type of coworker. And Mont, who was Jacob's friend, who's there, who's also really cool and fun and fresh, he's like, well, actually, mate. He's like, well, actually, bro, the gingerbread festival is coming up, and you have to represent your bed and breakfast by presenting a sweet treat at the gingerbread festival. And your last chef just quit, and now since you got hit by a car by circumstances we won't discuss, you can't make the food yourself. You can't run this yourself. You gotta rest. You're in a cast, and you have a concussion. And so he begrudgingly hires Eve, who could never work with him, obviously. She is spontaneous. She wears big, bright clothing with corny millennial phrases on the front. She wears AirPods during work. The horrors. But maybe not so. Maybe she's not as crazy as he thinks she is. Maybe he is not as cold as she thinks he is. And this book is an absolute slay. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and in order to represent it, I drew a little pancake stack that I assume Eve was making for the gingerbread festival, as well as her super long purple braids. And then at the bottom, I put a gingerbread to represent the book, Act Your Age, Eve Brown, and to solidify it as a member of my bookshelf. The second book I want to talk about is actually a book talk book called The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. If you know, you know. But this book, in my opinion, is the epitome of rom-com. In my opinion, it did everything right, to be honest. Because, is it very realistic? Absolutely not. Do they take it as seriously as they should? Maybe not. But honestly, I think that's what you need in these types of books. It's a book that uses all the stereotypical tropes, but because it's so self-aware that it's like it used to be a fan fiction. It's done tastefully, it's fun, it's funny, and it's super freaking cute. It starts off as 2 separate plots, and then they sort of merge into one plot. And so the first plot is Olive, our main character. She is doing research on pancreatic cancer. I think it's pancreatic cancer. It's some type of cancer because her mother died of pancreatic cancer, and she was left alone. And she just wanted to help do research to further the cure or whatever. And she's looking for a new lab that she can work in, so she needs to ask for grants and all this and reach out and network and whatnot. And then there's this guy named Adam. He's a professor at the school she's at. She's a master's student, by the way. They're all adults. They're all well past. She's 26, I think. Okay, so we're all adults here. So Adam, who's not her professor, mind you, that is important. Adam, who is not her professor and is also known for being like super mean and terrible and a super cold, grumpy professor. This is a true grumpy sunshine, in my opinion. Low-key, kind of. She's not super much of a sunshine, but he's definitely a grumpy, unlike Jack in the last book, who I thought was just like a normal guy. So Olive's bestie starts dating her ex, which she's fine with. She's super cool with because she doesn't even like her ex. But her bestie is like, I'm not going to go out with him because I feel like you still have feelings for him. And so Olive pretends that she's dating someone else, someone new, but she's not dating anybody new. And then when she's supposed to be on a date with someone new, she runs in to Mr. Professor Adam, and her bestie walks in, and but Olive sees her coming, and she's like, oh my god, I'm supposed to be on a date, but I'm here with Mr. Professor Dr. Adam, with Mr. Professor Dr. Adam. And she grabs him and she kisses him, and it like flies into a rumor at school that she's dating this professor, this super cold professor who she's never even spoke with, mind you. They don't know each other. They're like so far across in the department. So they start fake dating because it's like mutually beneficial for both of them, because he needs grants from the school and they think that he's leaving. So having a girlfriend will make it seem like he's not leaving. But then Adam's friend seems to be able to get Olive the lab that she needs. So the two plots tend to fall together. I gave this book a 3.75 stars. I absolutely loved it. I absolutely love Ali Hazelwood. And I do have something to say about Ali Hazelwood in length, but I'll keep that towards the end because this is not the last book on the roster. You already know that. I just want to say, you can tell that the author of this book loves science. This is so sciencey in like the most fun way possible, and the last book that I'm going to talk about is even more so. So thank you very much, Miss Ali. For this next book, I started off my reading journal with by far my least favorite Ali Hazelwood book. I might have to go back to calling her Hazelwood instead of my girl Ali. This is Love on the Brain. I actually read this book last, but it is the second book of the Love Hypothesis trilogy, so I decided to put this after the Love Hypothesis. It is about a girl named B. This is one of the most polarizing books in Ali Hazelwood's collections, I think. You either really love it or you not a fan of it, and I fear I am the latter. I'm so sorry, Ali, I love you. But it follows a girl named B, and she loves Madame Curie. She has this Twitter account called What Would Curie Do or something like that, I can't remember. And she loves space and she loves cats, but she's always been traveling the world, and then her parents passed away tragically and her sister decided to follow in their footsteps, and she's like, I don't want to get a cat because nothing lasts forever, you know. I don't want to get a cat and then watch the cat die. But luckily her pen pal, I forgot his name, her pen pal, we're just gonna call him pen pal, does have a cat and can talk about it and tell her funny anecdotes about how it ate up his clothes and book bag straps and whatnot, and that helps her a lot. And her and this pen pal have been really close for a while, so she decides to tell him about this new exciting news. She has landed her dream job at NASA, helping design these new high-tech space helmets for astronauts, and it's super freaking cool, and she's like having a blast, and she literally moves to Houston in order to get this job, except she tells her pen pal, I have to co-lead the team with this dude that I met in university who absolutely hates me. His name is, she doesn't say his name, but his name is Levi, and he always avoids her and ignores her, and every time she wants something, he stares at her with an expression that she can't quite place, so it's probably anger. And one time, when somebody asked if he liked her dress, he didn't answer, so that must mean he hates her, right? Yeah, it's one of those types of books, and it's absolutely infuriating, to be honest. And, like, I'm not even gonna hold you, like, B isn't the annoying one. She is very annoying, but they're two peas in a pod. They are a match made in heaven because Levi equally makes no sense. I enjoy them a lot. I enjoy the backstories of both of them. I think Ali Hazelwood definitely fleshed them out as real people and real characters, but there's only so far that unrealistic can go, you know? The Love Hypothesis was also super unrealistic. In what world could you kiss a professor and he doesn't immediately call Title IX? That's like one of the running jokes in the Love Hypothesis, is that he's pretending to file a Title IX report throughout the book. But in this book, it's just like, at some point it becomes negligence. They have misunderstandings because of their tragic backstories, which, you know, I empathize with. But I'm also like, at what point are you just hurting each other? Not even like just hurting yourself. You're hurting other people with how brainless you're being at this point. This is not love on the brain. It's love in your empty freaking skull at this point. That being said, I did give this book 3 stars. I was going to give it 2, but I really liked the ending, and, you know, I really appreciate what it was doing. It did feel very, very millennial in a way that I wasn't too much a fan of, but, you know, it was pretty good. It was still Adam Driver. Oh, who said that? But yeah, the ending was really good, I think, in my opinion, and I never really knew where the story was going to go, so I'll give her that. She is a writer. She knows how to, Miss Hazelwood knows how to craft a narrative, even if she pisses me off sometimes. But that is still my girl Ali, and you will see that in the next book. A lot of people will tell you that the last book I'm going to talk about is Ali Hazelwood's best book in the trilogy. And while I would put it at a tie with The Love Hypothesis, this is objectively a better book. Objectively a better narrative, in my opinion. It is called Love Theoretically, once again by Ali Hazelwood, completing our trilogy. And of course, since it is an Ali Hazelwood book, it is also very, very sciencey. She says in the back of the book that this is actually the most sciencey book that she's written. So much like The Love Hypothesis, it follows two plots that very, very, very quickly, like first chapter, start to converge. And it follows our main character named Elsie. So Elsie has a huge fear of disappointing others. She has devised this system of different personalities that she becomes whenever she's with certain people. So she'll be like, somebody will give her something, or her friend will take her to a movie, and she'll be like, I love this. We both love this. We love each other. We're so compatible. In actuality, in the narration, she hates this movie. She hates it, but she's never herself around other people. And this is very helpful because on top of her like a million other job positions that I'll talk about later, she works for a fake dating app called Faux, where you can pretend to be somebody's girlfriend for one night only. But she makes an exception for her favorite client. His name is Greg, and because of reasons that she's not comfortable sharing with the audience yet, he is not able to have a girlfriend or partner of his own, but his super rich family is worried that he'll never have children, he'll never get anywhere, so he hires Elsie multiple times in order to pretend to be his girlfriend around his family. And usually that's not allowed, but you know, he's her favorite, so that's okay, and they're cool and they're fun and they're besties. Also, Elsie is known throughout the family at this point, and she seems to have devised a different personality for every single member of the family, except for his older brother, Jack, who is very overprotective of Greg. Jack is super suspicious about her and her backstory, especially because she claims to just be some random librarian or whatever, but she's super great at a board game called Go, which takes a lot of which takes deep thinking and strategic measurements and things like that. Also, don't talk about how I put the Go pieces wrong on the board. I realized that only after, and I'll change it later, okay? But that's the Elsie that Greg and Jack know. On to the second plot. The real Elsie is a theorist, a theoretical scientist. I don't know if that's the same thing. I think it is, maybe. And also an adjunct professor for like a bajillion million classes because she's dirt broke. And she believes the reason why it's so hard for her to get a job as a theorist is because like over 10 years ago, this one dude named Jonathan wrote a horrible, nasty, slander piece article discrediting isolated theory, basically saying that it was useless without experimental science. So basically saying theorists are unnecessary if you already have an experimentalist. That's crazy. It's crazy. And it did do damage to the theory reputation. However, it was very poorly written and disproven. Since it was poorly written and disproven, the editor of that journal was fired and the reputation was ruined. That editor is Elsie's advisor who got her all these jobs. So she grew up not only hating theory because of that article, but even later in life, as an adult, hated theory because of what it did to her advisor, the only person who ever took a chance on her. Then, suddenly, here's where the paths converge, okay? She gets an interview for a really, really, really good position at a university. She'll be a full-on professor. She won't have to take a million bajillion classes, and she'll have a lab for herself and all of that, and it'll be super cool. Except, the other person vying for this interview is a candidate backed by Jonathan, the man who wrote that freaking article. Boom! And so when she goes to the first round of the interviews to meet Jonathan, she finds out that Jack, Greg's brother, is just a nickname for Jonathan. The man who disproved her entire career, or attempted to, is actually the brother of her fake boyfriend. And so he's like, you're a liar, and you're going down, and you're not getting this position. My candidate is getting this position. And she's like, absolutely not. I don't care who I lied to. You're the one who destroyed my career, destroyed everybody in my career. You're going down. And so we begin our very, 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 very entertaining, well-written enemies to lovers, in my opinion. I don't want to spoil this, but it's really interesting how they use each other's mediums to help each other. She stops and analyzes and theorizes who would be the perfect person to handle each situation and becomes that person, whereas Jack is very practical and bold and confident, like an experimentalist. And so they become better people as they sort of start to tread each other's paths, not only like in personality and emotionally, but also professionally. And that brings me to what I was saying before. This is a really science-heavy book, but it's so like accessible, in my opinion. It doesn't make me feel like I have to look up every single term, but it also doesn't make me feel like she's trying to dumb herself down. By she, I mean Ali Hazelwood. She's not trying to dumb herself down to talk to me. I really enjoyed how much I learned about the practice of each person from this book. And I also really enjoyed the characters and how they evolved and how their romance and their narrative grew, because I really didn't see where a lot of this was going. What's going to push her to the limit? When is she going to stop doing the personalities? When are we going to see the real Elsie? And so it's really, I love the way they push each other in this. I feel like that's the whole point of Enemies to Lovers, and so I can definitely see why people say this is the best Ali Hazelwood book. I would have to agree. So, what do you think? Did I nail it or did I fail it? Because, to be honest, I think I kind of nailed it. And I also read books, which is furthering literacy. You know, literacy rates in America are plummeting. So actually, you can't say that I didn't nail it, because you can't say that I failed it, because if you say that I failed it, then you hate literacy and you hate women and you hate learning and you hate Ali Hazelwood. So how do you feel? But yeah, I think it's really cool. I love the series. I really want to continue the trend of like putting the little books at the bottom, because I think that looks so cute and so fun, and having a little symbol to represent each one. They definitely won't be this long, or they definitely won't be as many books in the future, maybe depending on how much time and how fast I read books, but these books were like 200-300 pages, so I went through them pretty quickly. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll enjoy the next one that should come out later. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you like this video, because I like this video, and I like reading books, and I like painting my nails. Goodbye. Bing, bing.